today's class is all about hips. And I'm not sure if a lot of you know this, but all the muscles in your thighs, front, sides, backs, they are all connected to your hips. And a lot of times when we have instability in these joints, it may cause us a little bit of grief with the pelvic floor. Also, if you find that your knees are often sore, it might be because of the muscles in the hips. And as well, sometimes instability in the hips will cause your feet to either pronate, come in towards the center on the outside edges, or supinate, moving on the outside edges of your feet. So we're going to do a little bit of hip stuff. Also, I want you to know too that a lot of times when I'm in the evening, when I'm watching TV or just relaxing, I'll kind of play around with a lot of movements that I feel my body needs. And this is one of those, I guess, classes that I was doing last night. I was doing anything that my body actually, or my hips actually wanted and needed. So we're going to start actually on the floor. And you can put something under your head if you'd like. I've got a blanket here, so I'll put my head on the blanket just for a few moments, and then I'll probably take it out from underneath. And let's just go into a simple bridge pose. Now, from here, I want you to feel the contact of your feet on the floor and see if you can feel 3 points on the floor. Be the center of your heel, the base of your pinky toe, and the ball of your big toe. So I want you, don't press into the floor with those 3 points, but simply notice. Now, keeping those 3 points in each foot on the floor, I want you to lift your hips up off the floor. And then bring them down. And then a couple more times, lifting up. And down. One more time, lifting. And lowering. I'd like you to roll over onto one side. If you have a Pilates ball at home like this, that's great. Today I'm just going to use a rolled up blanket. And I've rolled up the blanket, and I'm going to place it under my rib cage. A lot of times when we're on our side and we're working, closer to the belly, we tend to kind of collapse into the shoulder. So I want to see if you can get the blanket to kind of hold you up, to lift you up. Knees are bent here. And begin to open and close that top knee. So the feet are together, inside edges of your feet are together. You're simply opening and closing. Sometimes what will happen is that we'll try to go past where we should be going, and we'll try to incorporate the pelvis and the lower back, and that's where we start to roll back. See if you can keep stable. Try not to roll back. I'm actually using my top hand to kind of give me a little bit of stability and allow me not to roll back. Notice that my feet, or my top foot, is like a hinge on a door. And then bring that leg down. Begin to keep the knees together, but lift up the lower leg and the foot. Now, when we're doing hip stuff, we always tend to bring our awareness to the end point of the movement. So in this case, that would be my foot, or the movement in my knee. I want you to try to bring your awareness to the muscles in the hip joint and see if you can use those muscles here to do the movement. You may even feel that the glute muscles, the muscles in the behind, are actually working, and the glute muscles are actually part of your pelvic muscles and your hip muscles. Extend that top leg out. You're going to lower down your body just a bit. I like to concentrate on my heel. I want to lift and lower the heel. Now, as you're lifting and lowering, if we go really super high, notice how my waist starts to get small. So that's where I'm incorporating more than I should here. I'm trying to incorporate the pelvic muscles and the waist muscles. I want the movement to be in the hip. So the movement isn't very big. So concentrate on these muscles here and see if you can just use the hip muscles. So I'm trying not to get the front of the foot to lead the movement. I'm trying to get the movement from the hip to the heel. A lot of times if we give the front of the foot a little bit of control, what happens is that the leg rotates out. So see if you can keep that leg really nice and level. Okay, let's try the other side. So get that rolled up blanket, put it under your side, knees are bent, try not to collapse towards the floor. See if you can keep nice and tall in the arm, and begin to lift and lower. So concentrate on the hip muscles doing the movement. The knee and the foot, like I always say in classes, are just there for the ride. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get some rotation in the hip. And then bring that knee down, and we're going to go opposite, keeping the knee where it is, and we're going to lift and lower. So paying attention to what's happening here, you've got internal rotation in the hip. Even though the bottom of the leg is lifting up, and sometimes that can kind of screw you up a bit, but the rotation is moving in. Okay, straighten that top leg, flex your foot, begin to lift and lower. If you find that if you're uncomfortable with the hip that's on the floor, sometimes there might be a spot in your hip where it's really sensitive. Just put a blanket under there, make it a little bit softer. So lifting and lowering. Notice I'm not rotating the legs so that the toes are pointing towards the ceiling. I'm trying to keep everything nice and level. Okay. We're going to roll over onto our backs again. If you have a strap, and I did mention that at the beginning of class, great. If you don't, that's fine as well. I'm going to show you what to do with the strap. when you do have one handy. And if you don't have one in your possession, let me know. I have some here. So take your strap and bring it around your mid-thigh. You don't want the knees close together. You want the knees and the thighs and the feet hip width apart. And this time I want you to try this position without anything under your head. See if you can feel the 3 points in your feet, the heel, the base of the pinky toe, and the ball of the big toe. Begin to lift up your hips. And notice that you can feel a little bit of resistance on either side or on the outsides of your legs. So it kind of gives the bridge a little bit more movement or a little bit more sensation in the legs. So in a bridge, sometimes we tend to roll the pelvis forward before we get into it, or roll the pelvis back. I want you to see if you can get into a really nice neutral pelvic position. And neutral is the hip bones and the pubic bone being in one line. And without lifting the pubic bone up, simply lift up the hips. And then bring them down. And a couple more times. You can even notice if your hands are on either side of your pelvis, you will notice if the pelvis moves. One thing that I'm really noticing today is my right foot tends to supinate out to the outside, so I really have to concentrate on the ball of my big toe staying in contact with the floor. And then one more time. Okay, let's get rid of the strap. So, again, if you have a strap handy, that's great. You don't necessarily need one. We're going to, again, feet and knees are hip width apart. See if you can feel the pelvis on the floor. Now, without rocking the pelvis back or forth, begin to slide one leg straight onto the floor. And just notice if the pelvis wants to tip forward. And when it starts to, you stop, even if the leg is bent and not on the floor. Keeping the pelvis nice and soft, nice and still. Bend the leg again. And try the other side. Very slowly straightening the leg. Without moving the pelvis, slowly bringing the leg back down. First leg again. And see how straight you can get it. The next time that you let your breath out, begin to lift that leg about halfway up. And then back down again. Lifting and lowering, you're keeping the pelvis really nice and quiet here. Now if you want to, you can add something else to this by flexing the foot. So you're pushing through the heel. And that's going to give you a little bit more resistance here. So you're working all of the muscles in here. These are the muscles right in the hip flexor here, right in the crease. It should be doing the work here. You may feel it maybe more in the front of your thigh, and that's okay too. Bring that leg back. Change sides, oh sorry. Without tipping the pelvis, allow the leg to straighten onto the floor. Lift and lower. And then if you want to go a little bit further, you're going to flex your foot so you're pushing through the heel and creating some resistance there. You may find that the leg doesn't come up as high. One more time. And bring that leg down. So again, feeling the 3 points in each foot, we're going to go back into a bridge. So as you lift up your hips, again, make sure that the pelvis doesn't rock forward or back. See if you can feel your shoulder blades on the floor. This isn't a yoga bridge where you go into a back bend. You're trying to get strength in the back of the legs and in the glutes. You don't have to squeeze the glutes because the glutes have to contract as you're lifting up the legs. So lowering and lifting. Now stay here, and without shifting your hips from side to side, can you lift one heel off the floor? Keep the toes on the floor, just lift the heel up. And bring that heel down. Lift up the other heel off the floor. And down. Bring the hips down. Lifting up again. Now we can go a step further here, but if you'd like, you can continue by just lifting the heel off the floor. We're going to go a little bit further. I want you to put all your weight into one foot. Lift up one leg and draw it in towards your belly. And bring that leg down. You are going to shift a little bit, but not a huge amount, just a bit. Lifting. And lowering. And bring the hips back in. Move from side to side. Lift one leg up and keep it bent. And keeping the pelvis really nice and quiet again. See if you can make circles in your hip. So again, you're not going to bring your awareness to your foot or your knee. You're seeing if you can use the muscles in the hip joint. And you're not making them so big that you're shifting from side to side. See if you can keep your pelvis planted on the floor, both sides. And then change directions. And just would notice if one direction is easier to move than the other. That leg where the foot is on the floor, if you find that the knee caves in or moves out, see if you can keep that knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Okay, bring that leg down. I want you just to extend both legs onto the floor and just notice the difference between the leg that you just worked on, making circles in the hip, as compared to the other leg. And it might feel a little bit, some say longer, but you might feel a little bit more grounded in the back of the leg. That side of the pelvis might be just more grounded to the floor. And try the other side. Knee is bent. I've been working a lot with rotation in the hips, and I'm finding that my IT band isn't near as tender or tight as it was before. But you also have to remember too that all the legs that are, all the muscles that are happening in the thigh, they're connected to the hip. So if you're only moving your hip in one direction, or your legs in one direction back and forth, and you're not getting the rotation, then other parts of the muscles in the thighs aren't working as optimal as what they should. And then change directions. If you have to, if you find this is too much, just bring your leg down, take a breath, and then bring the leg back up again. Okay, bring that leg down, compare both sides. Just notice how you feel. And then let's just do one more rotation in the hip. If you have a strap, use the strap. If you don't, it's no big deal. All you're going to do is rotate from side to side. Again, you're going to forget you have a knee, a lower leg, or a foot. If you do have a strap, you can either get the leg nice and straight, but don't compromise the position of your pelvis. Or if you can't get the leg straight, you're going to keep it bent. The strap is there just to help you keep the leg up. I do both. Keep the strap up there if you have it. Without the strap, it takes a lot more control to do this. And then try the other side. So I'm not going to use the strap, but you can. So again, I'm going to forget that I have a knee, a lower leg, or a foot. And I'm rotating out, which is external rotation, and I'm rotating in, which is internal rotation. You may find too that you have no control, or the brain just can't register what you want it to do. And just take a break. Let the brain think about what you wanted, and when you come back to it, it might happen without even thinking about it. Okay, bring that leg down. So I did note, or I did mention at the beginning of class that less mobility in the hips can really impact your knees and can actually impact your foot. But we're going to work on a little bit of rotation in our ankles because sometimes when we don't have that movement in the ankles as well, plays a lot into what's happening in the muscles on the bottom of your feet and what's happening in the muscles in the knee as well. So you're going to go back into that position where you're laying on your back. One leg is straight. Actually, no. I want you to bend both legs, lift one up. You're going to take your hands and bring them behind a thigh. We're going to make circles in our ankles. So what I want you to think about is the muscles in the ankle doing the movement here, and the foot is just going along for the ride. So you're trying to use the joint, your ankle joint, to do the movement. Some of us will feel clicks. I don't know if you can hear my clicking. And then try in the other direction. So I'm just feel the movement in the joint. You can try if you want to make big circles. You can make small circles, whatever you feel like doing here. And let's try the other side. Usually in class I'll kind of let you know which direction I want you to go into. Today I'm not going to. But there is a reason why I ask you to go in one direction, usually first and then the other. So as I'm doing this, I'm feeling the movement in the ankle. I'm not necessarily concentrating on what my foot is doing. And then change directions. And then again, you can make small circles, you can make big ones, whatever you prefer. Okay. Just stretch your legs out. Just notice how you feel. If the legs feel loose. And then roll over onto your side. And then either sit on the floor or come onto your knees, whatever's preferable. So we worked on the hips and we worked on the ankles. I always like to do something with the shoulders and the shoulder joints, or with the arms and the shoulder joints. So lift your arms or your shoulders up towards your ears. Begin to move the arms or the shoulders back and feel the shoulder blades come together. Allow the shoulder blades to slide down and then come forward. So top of the shoulders, top of the arms are up. Bring the arms back. See if you can feel the shoulder blades coming in towards the spine. Let them slide down and relax. Now notice that I'm not crunching my neck. I'm lifting up the arms, top of the shoulders. When they're up high, I'm going to roll the arms back. Feel the shoulder blades come towards each other. Feel them come closer to the spine. Let them slide down and relax. Let's do that one more time. Lifting, moving back, and down. And then just relax. And that's it for today's class, or for this class. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can do it a couple times each week just to see if there is a difference in the mobility in your hips and your knees and your feet. You might even find that you can squat a little bit better, which that'll be a class for the future. And thanks for joining me. Have a great day, have a great evening, and we'll see you at the next class.